Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, thirst trap, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you,
trap
yeah
squad.
I see you. Trap squad,
Yeah, I see you.
trap squad, thirst trap,
Trap.
trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.
Yo, it is Tuesday morning. It is sometime in the end of July, actually the middle of July. It's July 13th. It is 5:15 where I am, you all. I am in Montana. I am at West Creek Ranch in Montana, out here to inspire, renew, and connect, mostly with myself and my organization mission. I am out here as part of an entrepreneurial program that Babson College and Arthur M. Blank Foundation host for entrepreneurs in the social sector. I'm super, super dope. It's a perfect time to be out here because my organization, Black Male Voter Project, just finished a wonderful weekend in my hometown where we had a basketball tournament for kids between the ages of 10 and 18. And then we had a concert, and it was probably not the first concert in infield, but one of the first, especially with national artists. So it was wonderful watching the kids enjoy that and receive that. And the town turned up. So I'm super excited, super, super excited. As you all may notice, my co-host Marcus Farrell is not here today. He's traveling, I think, for work. So you'll get an abbreviated version with just the nerd, Mundell Robinson. That's right. I am Mundell Robinson, the founder of Black Male Voter Project and one half of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. What's good? I'm being the producer on stage tonight is Tunde. Tunde, welcome back from I think you were on vacation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So welcome back, brother. Thank you so much for getting up this early and helping me produce this show and making sure that we got shit to talk about. And boy, do we have shit to talk about. You know? So I can't see the comments tuned in. I don't know what people are saying. I hope y'all are tuned in. I just want to start out by saying, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Let's jack up the algorithm. If you're on Facebook, please share, like, and make sure all your family and friends are on this show. This is the livest and blackest podcast in these United States of America. And since Marcus ain't here, I don't got no reason to joke. I might as well get right into this news. I say the joking for Marcus. You got to be lighthearted with the light-skinned brothers. And I can say that because he ain't here to defend himself. So it is what it is, player. But we're going to start out talking about our president, the president of the United States, Joseph Robin Biden, has planned to unveil some new plan addressing mental health illness amid gun crimes in Black communities. Now, anybody that knows anything about me know I'm an advocate for mental health issues and also people being honest with themselves about the state of their mental health. What I don't jive with is just like his little meeting with Black civil rights legacy organizations last week. There's something missing from this meeting. Something was missing from that meeting, and that something missing from the last meeting from last week was the youth, the voice of millennials and the generation behind them. And even my generation was not invited. It was all baby boomers. The problem with that is baby boomers are not the majority of Black voters. They're not the majority of voters at all. So there's a coalition of voters there. That's my generation, the small one, Generation X, millennials, and the generation behind them that are the largest voting bloc in this country. And to have a conversation about voting rights without us being available or us being a part of the conversation is an absent conversation. It's not even half of the conversation. It's less than that, because we know every year the baby boomer generation will become less and less more as it pertains to voters. So it's a tacky conversation to say that you're going to activate millennials or the youth vote by letting them do social media activity. First of all, we don't need to be activated. We're already activated. Second of all, stop calling millennials kids and young, because I know some millennials that went to school with me that are grandparents. So stop calling millennials young, and I know some of them are grandparents. It is high time that we're invited to the conversation when it's happening, not as afterthoughts. Because what happens is when we're not a part of the conversation, there's no buy-in, because we don't play politics the same way the generations before us did, and that should be acknowledged. That's not disrespectful. It's just actual and factual. We do not play politics the same way that the generations before us. Respectability politics does not work for our generation. So how does that apply to the mental health thing that Biden is trying to unveil right now? Well, it's simple. If you look at who was at this meeting, Joe Biden had Eric Adams, who is the the next mayor of New York, because he won the Democratic primary, and also Miriam Bowser, amongst others. Mary Bowser is the mayor of DC. And then they had a bunch of police chiefs. The problem with this is, if this is a mental health plan, where are the mental health folk? Why do we have big name mayors who support policing? If you remember, Miriam Bowser in DC was happy to put Black Lives Matter last year in the midst of all the rioting, or protesting, I should say, on the streets. But her policies was just as many other mayors. She was spending more money on policing. So while she put Black Lives Matter on the streets, she did something that takes Black lives. She hired more police officers. She decided to spend more money on policing. So that is the tragedy of inviting mayors and police chiefs absent of folk who really do this work. Also, I think Eric Adams, who is going to be the next mayor of New York City, is to me a conundrum, mainly because, one, he's not progressive, and two, he's all about policing. He thinks policing is the answer to some of these problems in this country, mainly around our criminal justice system, that should be addressed by policies. I don't think putting mental health people on the police payroll is the way forward. Because they then become a part of that ethos when they begin to buy into the ideology of the police department in New York, for instance, that said, today we're going to have blackout days and do nothing but go out and arrest Black people. That is tacky. I think we need to start thinking about mental health absent and separate from policing departments. And if we're not, then we're just creating a bigger budget for the police chief to do what he wants. And we know what that means. More Black lives lost, more over policing of Black communities. And that to me is a sad product for sure. And I think what was really telling, and how we know this would be the case, talking about the over policing of Black people with mental health issues, is Eric Adams called out statistics that were disgusting. He said nearly half, or more than half, of the Black people on Rikers Island. Rikers Island is a jail in New York, one of the worst jails in New York, and also one of the largest jailing facilities in this country. He said nearly half of the people there, the inmates there, have mental health issues. If people have mental health issues, then why are they in jail and not getting their help and the mental health that they deserve? So I'm a little upset about that. I'm upset that he first won the mayorship, and also that he's a police chief who loves policing. So I'm a little scared about that, a little nervous about that. I think this is I got a question from someone else watching the show, Dwayne, who's not working this morning. He's lazy. He said, do we communicate to our skin folk with righteous result from D Will? Okay, so D Will asked the question. And I guess he's asking, how do we communicate to our skin folk about righteous results? I think the way we communicate with our skin folk is that we remind them that policing has never solved anything in our communities, and also mental health trying to get people to buy into the idea that, mental health is not this stigma, this thing that should be, that have a negative stigma on it. Mental health, if you care about your health in general, you have to care about the whole body, and the mind is extremely important if we are to be healthy people, if we are to have healthy communities. But I still believe addressing the gun problem, Dwayne and D Will, in our community is not a mental health problem. The gun problem in our country, especially in the Black community, is a direct result of poverty. If people weren't so poor, if people had their basic needs met, I continue to say this show after show. If people have their basic needs met, then there'd be less reason for people to be out in the street shooting. This occurs in communities where people are overcrowded, in spaces where it shouldn't be so many humans, and there are lack of resources. So while I think we definitely need to put a shine a light on mental health illness, but I definitely also believe that we should really be honest about what's driving our crime, or driving crime in this country, and it's poverty. It's the lack of resources in certain communities. It's also the avoiding of proper funding for organizations and institutions that can address these problems. So this is a government issue. It is mental health, absolutely should be focused on. I definitely think this is the wrong way to go about it, though. Again, I can't see the comments, so I don't know if people are vibing with me. I do talk fast, y'all. You get that a lot when I'm on the show by myself, but you also get that goddamn work, and that's what y'all getting right now. Tune, did you add anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'll add into it is that, I'm glad that they're at least paying the lip service to it, because usually they don't even bring it up at all, because I think it's not a important part when it comes to the Black community. I think it's the important part when it comes to the Black community, as far as why we see some of our neighborhoods and how they look, right. One of the aspects that doesn't get talked about at all is the mental health aspect of it. There's a lot of kids who grow up, and I liken it to growing up in like a war zones, right? When all you see in all your life is just violence and chaos, right? You're gonna have PTSD, right? You're gonna have issues, but they just get treated as if, oh, you're just a normal person who grew up with a perfect life and didn't see a lot of crazy. I work with this organization, and one of the young kids that's within that organization, just in the time that I've known him, a couple of his friends have been shot, and he's got issues, because of that, so I think it's of utmost importance, and who knows how this is all going to play out, and how it's all going to turn out, especially when the Biden administration is involved. But at least it's being brought up, and not only does it need to be brought up, but we need to go further and push it to the forefront of the conversation. So the next time somebody wants to open their mouth and talk about, oh, the Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, why don't you talk about the mental health aspect first before you just jump to, oh, they're just crazy animals who don't know how to behave.
Yeah, I think that's an important issue. I still think, though, like when you said it's the issue, I think my pushback on that thought is like the mental health is a byproduct of the trauma that's associated with being Black in these United States, and that trauma is not just from what we've seen as like people that have seen people get shot, seen people get murdered, or the communities that we come from that create this trauma. I don't think that's the beginning of it, though, right? I think it's the trauma that's associated with America's beginning that we know is coded in our DNA, not our DNA, but RNA, which is the envelope that keeps the DNA. There was a study a few years back that John Hopkins did on descendants of the Holocaust, and it showed how the trauma that their ancestors went through during the Holocaust had changed their DNA, and it created, like, these people had PTSD or like some of the other issues that are associated with that type of trauma that people suffer through. So even though they were not at the Holocaust themselves, they didn't survive it, their DNA was changed by it, and they had negative effects from that trauma. So I'm thinking, if you consider the time length of the Holocaust compared to that of what Black people have been going through since we got to these United States, and how it has affected us. Imagine what our DNA looks like. Imagine the trauma that's coded into us. And this has to be an extremely thoughtful way at how we're getting on this show. And I tell you what, Dimitri, as we are having a serious conversation about trauma in my community, we will not be talking about my cleavage and the sexiness. I actually shaved my chest this morning, not this one. I'm joking. Dimitri, don't do that, man. I'm being serious here. Dimitri said I got cleavage out. So whatever, Dimitri. This is leftover bill from the 80s when I was in shape. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, was if you consider the trauma that's already associated with being black in the United States, coupled with what those young people that you were talking about that seeing people get shot, that are living through spaces where they can't eat, all of those things are still related to America's institutions and the oldest institution in America, which is white supremacy. And if we don't name that, I think we'll go about addressing the problem in a half-hearted way, which means it won't be fixed correctly. So mental health is absolutely one of the things, but we have to address what created this problem, and
Yeah.
that's poverty in America's institutions.
No, absolutely. I think I agree 100% with that. I think the reason why I was saying, and I agree with your point that there are a lot of other problems to tackle and that cause the mental health issues, both that are happening right now as well as just the history of it, right? That's all affecting the black community. I think of it as though, like, if you're say if you're hurt, right? Like you just broke your leg, right? There's the thing that caused you breaking your leg, and there's the actual fact that you broke your leg, and you have to put a splint on it. You gotta correct the bone first, and all those type of things, and then you can go back and be like, all right, well, how did we get here? What's the thing that caused us getting here, And so I think that's the way I sort of look at it. Is there's a problem that we need to address right now, that needs to happen right now. So these kids need counselors. These kids need people to actually like look out from them, not from I'm just gonna lock you up sort of way, but from a let's talk, let's figure this out way. And I feel like that there's just none of that going on right now, or there's some of it going on, but it's not clearly at the level that it should be at. And so I think that needs to be addressed like immediately, and all the other things, that cause these issues. We need to tackle them. But yeah, I think that's just the thought process that I'm
Yeah,
coming from with that.
yeah, brother. I think you're spot on. I think that's a smart way to think about it. Good morning, chat. I see there's 70 people on YouTube. Make it 100. You guys make sure we have 70 likes if we have 70 people. Also, just a reminder that super chat button is activated. That super chat button is reactivated. So don't be shy. Man, let's go to some other news that is not about policy as much as it is about just toxic masculinity. And I think people need to understand that there's a difference between masculinity and toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity can be named as Judge Joe fucking Brown. Judge Joe Brown is a fucking idiot. I have not been a fan of Judge Joe Brown for a long time. Some of the shit he say and do is absolutely disgusting and problematic, especially for women, and black women, to be more specific, because in this case we're talking about how people are trying to define this as the divide between our community. This is not a divide between our community. People who support Bill Cosby, and I know there are some people who do, are people who are denying reality. What Bill Cosby did was despicable. What Joe Brown was talking about was not what Bill Cosby did. Furthermore, he's absolutely disgusting for the way he thinks. And I would be extremely nervous if he was around any of my sisters or nieces, because his mentality is that of rape culture. Judge Joe Brown was on an interview with Mark Lamont, to discuss some disgusting comments that he made, and he just further pushed, he pushed those comments even more by saying shit like, these women were groupies and they came to the party, do a line of cocaine, and then they laid out on the bed making out with somebody when you're trying to get your jacket.
Yeah,
It's so disgusting. I don't even want to get into it so much. Go ahead.
Well, if reading the comments upsets you, then we can go ahead and watch this clip, and that might set you off a little bit more. So let's check this out real quick.
Why do you say that mainstream media encourages mob rule?
I've talked to 43 lawyers around the country, 17 judges, and I haven't found one that was shocked by the verdict. Most saw the same thing that I did from day one. This never should have gone to trial. It's a travesty. It's a violation of due process and American law. It is part of this mess that mainstream media is trying to feed into the heads of the citizenry and poison them by saying that their emotions and their feelings are supposed to have paramountcy over what happens within the law. That's not the way it goes. I get people who never even took what they should have gotten in the fourth and fifth grade get to talking about how somebody going to disprove what these women accused Dr. Cosby of. And the truth of the matter is you don't have to. They have to prove that what they claim is true, not the other way around. That's American law. I see too much of this show up on the courthouse, voice your opinion, and get the courts to yield to what you believe. That's not the way the law works. That's called mob rule, mob justice. And if you want a more egregious exemplar, take what happened to Emmett Till and every other black man that's been lynched in the history of this country because somebody got emotional and decided to suborn the law, go around it, and do what their emotions drove them to do.
So that is absolutely disgusting to me. This idea that you can evoke, and this is the problem. People do this all the time. They take someone like Emmett Till and what happened to Emmett Till and give that space to Bill Cosby. That is not what happened. Due process is absolutely in the Constitution, and is what happened. But to take due process and couple it with what happened to Emmett Till is fucking disgusting. And and who cares that you talk to 43 lawyers and 17 judges in these United States? Who cares? Who cares? Due process is absolutely necessary to keep people from mob rule. This is not mob rule with Bill Cosby. This is not opinion. Bill Cosby himself said that he committed these acts. The problem is the district attorney made a deal during a civil case and said that they would not prosecute him in the future on these charges, but he admitted to it. So this due process reasoning for him getting out is a problem in the Constitution, because he's already admitted, Bill Cosby already admitted that these acts were committed by him. So this is not people's opinion. This is not mob rule. This is not what happened to Emmett Till. It is Bill Cosby getting off on due process, which is absolutely constitutional, but it's still fucking disgusting because we know he drugged these women and had sex with them. Yeah. Not just one of them, probably all of them. And to say anything else, and for Joe Brown to be up there talking about Dr. Cosby as if he's innocent and comparing him to Emmett Till is a disgusting. The Emmett Till's foundation and family should probably say something about that, because it's absolutely disgusting, and it's not okay. You muddy history and you make people forget, even those that don't know, what really happened with Emmett Till, and you take away from the black suffering when you do that. Just because Bill Cosby is black does not mean he's being Emmett Tilled right now. It's a fucking problem, and it's worse than making a joke about it.
Yeah, and what's alarming about what he was saying, and honestly, I think it's kind of a microcosm of a lot of, and I'm sure Judge Joe Brown, it seems like he would be conservative. I don't know, maybe I don't know what his actual.
Give me 1 second, Tunde. Yeah. Big Cannon, put up Big Cannon's comment. This way of thinking is from someone who has never been a victim of anything. Bill Cosby is one of the most powerful black men probably in the history of this country. To say that these women have not sounded the alarm is ridiculous. And even if they had not sounded the alarm, to be raped, to see what happened to rape victims, to survive it and relive that trauma, to know that you have to go on stand, it may take people more than 40 years to get the strength to say something about what happened to them, to know that your partner may look at you differently, to know that your family may look at you differently, to know that you will be criticized by the world. There's tons of reasons, justified reasons why women don't come forward. This is one of them. This is one of them. So statute of limitation, there should be no statute of limitation for sex crimes. And in some states there aren't. I think when there's sex crime, there shouldn't be any statute of limitation. So I think statute of limitation was a way to protect white men from the shit they did in the old days, and I don't think it should be. I think it should be out. It's absolutely disgusting that we're talking about statute of limitation when people were raped, and asking why women didn't come forward or victims didn't come forward is not a question that we should ever entertain, and it's definitely not cool in this space. When I have 7 sisters, 11 aunts, and a ton of, and a mother and a grandmother, 2 grandmothers, and a lot of women in my life that I love. And what we're not gonna do in this space is ask why they didn't come forward when someone harmed them. Not gonna happen. Go ahead, tune there. I hate to interrupt you.
No. Yeah, you needed to to address that. Yeah, because that's a typical kind of like that's a typical talking point for somebody who hasn't really like thought about the actual thing itself, that hasn't like interacted with it, in terms of actually processing everything that happens, and as well as exactly like you said in terms of and I don't want to I don't know what's going on in Big Cannon's life, so I'm not trying to make judgments, but it sounds like you haven't experienced some sort of traumatic event like that, because it's not as easy as just saying, oh, tomorrow I'm just going to go out and tell everybody and deal with all the fallout from that. There's years of therapy, of rehabilitation, or not rehabilitation, but just like therapy. That
I mean, let's expand that thinking, bro. Yeah, let's expand that thinking. I'm sorry, I'm still on that thought because my hands got sweaty. And so I mean, by his argument, by his logic, because it's 40 years statute of limitation. So he's saying that black people don't deserve reparations because it's been slavery is over 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? There should be statute of limitation on that. If I'm wronged, I deserve justice. I don't care if it's tomorrow or 20 years from now. I mean, this is a minimizing. And I'm not saying women are the only people that are victims of sex crimes. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, though, in this case, this is the comfortability of men with women being harmed by other men. This shit is not okay. We need to be cautious of what we are saying in our questions. That question seems like it's a harmless question, but in actuality, it's not at all. It's not at all. I don't care how you feel about the Cosby Show, Bill Cosby, or whatever his name, Cliff Huxtable was. I'm talking about Bill Cosby, the rapist, and we need to address that in our community. Cliff Huxtable is Cliff Huxtable. That's a TV personality. You don't know Bill Cosby. These women ran into the real Bill Cosby, and it was traumatic and fucked up for the rest of their lives because they did. And for us to say that there should be a statute of limitation on that pain, you're also discounting everybody that suffered anything. You're also saying that black people.
It looks like Mondale froze up a little bit, so we'll give it a sec. Hopefully he comes back here in 1 sec. Just sit tight, everybody. Hey everybody, the stream's still going. It looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty with Mondale. Must be that he's out there in the wilderness right now. So maybe it's just that wilderness Wi-Fi. So hopefully we'll get him back here in a sec. Yeah, everybody stay with us for a minute here. And yeah, we'll hopefully get the show back up and running here in a sec.
Yo, Clickbaity, don't go nowhere. Clickbaity, stay with me. Yo, so sorry about that, y'all. When you're in Montana, when you're in big sky country, one thing you will get is beautiful skies and beautiful mountain views. But what you won't get is great cell reception. Um, you will not. So what I was saying was we just should be cautious of what we're saying as it pertains to other people's pain, and also how we take care and show up as allies, both to victims and also women. It is necessary as people who walk around with male privilege.
Well, and to kind of show you sort of how far it extends. Obviously, Joe Brown is not like the he doesn't represent all men, black men, but he is a black man, and he his wild comments didn't stop with the clip we just watched. There's one more that's maybe a little bit more outrageous. Let's check that out.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So, Judge, let me. I want to lay this out plainly, just so, and I'll give you a chance to respond. I'll even give you the last word. If you give someone drugs and alcohol, even if they want to take the drugs and alcohol, if they get to a point where they are inebriated, where they are high or drunk, you cannot have sex with them. It is not sex; it becomes rape. And even by the legal standard that you're saying we should appeal to,
that's only the law in certain states. It's not for every state. And it goes into the same philosophy. It goes into the same thing. I didn't know I was going to get that drunk, so it ain't my fault I got a DUI and kill somebody. How you think that's going to float?
Right, but the difference is the drunk person has a responsibility not to get into the car, but the drunk person does not have a responsibility not to give the responsibility.
How is this guy judge anywhere?
If we're talking about responsibility,
linen, candlelight, wine, dine. You go for a walk in the park, my place or yours. Get over there, kissy, kissy, poo, seduction, clothes come off. Everybody has a good time. This crowd wants that to be called
everybody isn't having a good time. One person's being assaulted. Right, but what I'm saying, Judge, and I got to run.
See, that's the point. He never admitted to what he did, was accused of.
Absolutely. This guy's disgusting.
How many people in your court admitted to what they did that were guilty?
All they did was they asked for it. I supplied it. They wanted it.
Okay,
that's like put some candles on and some incense when we do it. Let's go out and have a fine meal. some Pinot
What?
Noir,
Giving
some
this is
Cabernet
disgusting.
Sauvignon
Giving
to
somebody
go with the prime rib and the
No,
lobster.
this guy's
And then
disgusting.
we, you know, after we leave the 5-star restaurant, we got a nice walk in the park.
this honestly is, with all due respect, is the most disturbing interview I've ever had in my life.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's
see, you
absolutely.
are into this thing where everybody's got to be protected. This society does not work when the society's obligation is to protect somebody from being stupid.
What? What? So this man drugs you. This is a judge saying that this is a judge redefining what consent is. If someone is on a Quaalude, because like he kept trying to talk about alcohol and DUI. These people were not on alcohol. They were on a drug that is so powerful that you can no longer get it in the United States. They were on Quaaludes, bro. So like people are watering down what's going on. Quaaludes are illegal in this country. You cannot get them because of their potence. And Bill Cosby giving these women Quaaludes where they barely can probably even talk if they could, and then having sex with them is not the equivalent to going on a date and having a glass of Pinot Noir or Cabernet, like he said, and incense. What the idea that he's being so like loose with what happened to these women or these situations or any of the situations, and him willing to say that it's rape in some states, as if that's okay, is absolutely disgusting to me. And I'm gonna have to agree with Mark Lamont Hill when he said this is one of the most disturbing interviews I've ever listened to and he participated in. That is absolutely disgusting that man sat there and said this. I'm wondering who is allowing him to practice law and where, because he should be like Rudy Giuliani and without a license, because that's absolutely flat out disgusting. And I don't know if you got anything else to say about that, bro, but I'm absolutely disgusted by it.
No, the first time that I watched it, I had the exact same reaction that you have right now. But the thing that I can say about it is that, you know, he's an example of kind of why all this stuff is, you know, and I expect that, like, as, you know, it's a huge society, so you're going to have stuff like this regardless. You know, some people are just going to think like this, right? But I think there are a lot of Judge Joe Browns out there because they come from an era where it was perfectly fine to do something like this, you know. And so when somebody says, you know, it's just like anything else, where when you can do something, and then somebody suddenly tells you, no, that's not cool, you know. You then look at it like, what do you mean it's not cool? I've been doing it for the past like 30 years. What do you mean it's no longer in vogue? You know, what do you mean I can't wear these bell bottom jeans anymore? Nah, I can still wear those, right? And
or what do you mean I can't be a Klansman anymore?
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't say nigger anymore?
Yeah. Wait a minute here. You know, what are we doing? Why are we changing the rules up? You know, so I think, you know, I think that's why it's so hard to stomp this out, is because there's people who legit just don't get it. And I don't know if it's like I don't know what it is. I don't know what the solve for that is. Like, how can you, like, outside of hearing the stories from the people that this affects, like what can you tell a person like that? You know, what is the thing that you're going to say to them to get them to realize, like, no, like, look at the shit that you're actually doing. Look at the effects of it. Look at the people that, like, I think that everybody who's saying something like this needs to, like, there needs to be like a documentary of the person's life that this affects, and you need to sit down and you need to watch that documentary of how this affects their lives. Because for you just to be like, oh, kissy poo, and you know, you buy the dinner and it's fine and you get drunk, no, like, there's women who, you know, till this very day, they can't have their relationships suffer because of the things that happen, and some of them might not even realize that, oh, it all precipitates from this thing that happened to me 30 some odd years ago, you know. And so it's like, I don't know how you get to through to a Judge Joe Brown, because it seems like they're just so set in their ways that there's almost like, how do you respond to that? What is the thing that you can say to that? I
mean, for me, and I'm not even being funny. For me, my response to him is I just look him in the face and be like, I'm so glad you're almost over. I'm so glad you're gonna die soon, and I hope that way of thinking is also gonna die soon, because it's problematic, not just for, I mean, it's the reason that human trafficking is not being talked about right now, and we know we got kids being snatched from all over this country. The amount of black young black girls disappearing in Nigeria and being sold all over this country and in Asia as well is absolutely disgusting. And some of them are passing straight through this country or coming to this country. So I think my answer to them is hurry up, Joe. The afterlife is waiting on your ass. Hurry up. That's what I got to say about that. Man. Speaking of judges in courtrooms, brother, I like the way we flowed right into each topic. Wait, before we get to the courtroom topic about God and court, before we get to that, can we talk about another dumbass black man that always say dumb shit? Stephen A. Smith. Oh boy. Stephen A. Smith sounding like.
Do you just want to play the? Should we just play the clip off top?
Play the clip.
Let's play the clip.
When I look at Ohtani, he is big time. Babe Ruth, 33 home runs, batting 279. Got a 4-on-1 record with a 379 ERA as a pitcher. This brother is special. Make no mistake about it. But the fact that you got a foreign player that doesn't speak English, that needs an interpreter, believe it or not, I think contributes to harming the game to some degree when that's your box office appeal. It needs to be somebody like Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, those guys. And unfortunately, at this moment in time, that's not the case. Baseball was dying in the 90s. What saved it? It was the home run competition between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. Now, obviously, Sammy Sosa, we learned later during his testimony on Capitol Hill that suddenly he needed an interpreter. You know, baseball being very, very good to him. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't enough. He needed an interpreter to speak for him when he was on Capitol Hill. Certainly didn't need that when he was smacking those home runs. But Mark McGwire basically helped save baseball because you had a dude that you could put on Wheaties boxes, all right, that could ingratiate himself with the younger generations out there and had America transfixed on the sport of Major League Baseball. What I'm saying to you is that's not the case. That's all I mean by that. I'm not taking anything away from Ohtani. I know what he's doing on the field. I know it's nothing short of spectacular. And I understand that baseball is an international sport itself in terms of participation. But when you talk about an audience gravitating to the tube or to the ballpark to actually watch you, okay, I don't think it helps that the number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying.
That's a black man on TV saying that the face of baseball need to be a white person. I mean, the people he named were white people. Let's unpack this. There's a lot wrong with Stephen A. Smith. There's a lot wrong with his statement as well. First of all, he tried to throw it in and correct because he knew people were going to come at him talking about baseball like it's a national sport. I don't know if people know this or not. All of the sports in this country, all of the sports in this country, when the championship time, the championship is played by teams in that league in that league. Baseball is not like that. Japanese teams play in the World Series if they qualify, or other teams can play in the World Series. It's called the World Series for a reason. Furthermore, to say that baseball needs a white person to be the moniker or the face of the sport is absolutely disgusting, and it also plays into the idea that white is the only way you can sell something, or white is what you need to be doing in order to sell something. This is the internal hate that folk talk about. This is also white supremacy from a black person. This speak that white people will not come out and see. White people will not come out and see an Asian player, or will not support an Asian player as the number one player or the face of a sport. And it's bad for sport if you don't have white people. If you noticed, a lot of black kids don't play baseball. This is not because black kids don't like baseball. It's because baseball is an expensive sport to play. You need bats, you need balls, you need gloves, and there's not enough resources. People don't put enough resources into it. This is part of the whitening of baseball. So I think Stephen A. Smith just saying that you need to have white faces at the top of that sport just furthers the gap and the divide in what's important. He didn't say this when there was insanity in basketball, right? Which is a majority black sport. That was not a problem to have a the world going crazy over an Asian person playing basketball. The problem is Stephen A. Smith knows that he's talking to a certain people that got him that money from ESPN, and they're comfortable with him saying what he said. And he knows he's not going to lose his job. He'll issue an apology. He's probably already have, and it'll go on and it'll go away because he's talking not about white people in a way that's harmful to the white supremacy that exists in the institutions. He's harming another minority community, and he's furthering what Donald Trump was doing, trying to isolate our Asian brothers and sisters. I think this is a disgusting statement by a black man. It's also a form of what we call in black community cooning. This is absolutely cooning, saying that white people are only attracted to whiteness, and if you want to fill the ballpark, you better put a white person as the face of baseball. It's disgusting, and it's enough to get you fired. It should be enough to get you fired. However, ESPN is a part of that network, that is part of Disney, that is part of a space that is comfortable exploiting people, culture, and also xenophobic shit. So it is what it is. Don't forget, Mulan was shot in a part of China where they were literally killing Muslim Chinese people because they were Muslim.
Yeah.
Disney, the parent company of ESPN, responsible for that shit.
So he actually already did issue an apology. I think he did a video, but he also put out text piece as well, I think on Twitter. So everything that you said was spot on, right? That he's just carrying water for white America at that point.
He is.
Yeah. And what kind of stuck with me though is that he was saying, like, in his apology, he said that I never intended to offend any community, particularly the Asian community, right? That's what he said in his apology, right? But when
first of all, you absolutely did, because you implied that first of all, you implied that we had, and this is for you too, Show King. Jeremy Lin absolutely speak English, but America doesn't have an official language. America does not have an official language. So we don't require you to speak English in this country because English is not an official language. English is actually a pigeon slave language.
Well,
go ahead, bro.
But my question was, why does he need to speak English? Like, if he's using an interpreter, like what is it about a Wheaties box that you need to speak English in order to be on the Wheaties box? Like, are people going to look at it and be like, oh man, I think I watched an interview with that guy. He doesn't speak English. So, I'm not going to eat these Wheaties. What?
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
He's not famous for his speech. He's not famous for speaking. He's not an orator. He's a baseball player, and he's amazing. He's amazing at that.
And if you talk to Stephen A. Smith, I'm sure he'd be the first person to tell you that it shouldn't matter what you do off the field or what's happening out of the ballpark. If you're the best player in the sport, that speaks for itself. You shouldn't look. The interpreter shouldn't even have to speak for this player. His play does, So if he's considered one of the best, what else matters?
What else matters?
What else matters at that point? As long as he's not doing anything crazy off the field, as long as he's not, doing anything wild off the field, if he's just carrying on living his life and he's doing all the things that he needs to do, why does it matter if he needs an interpreter now? Like, why does that matter so much to Stephen A. Smith? Like, what is it about him that makes that important to him that he needs to hear somebody speak English before he can accept them as the face of whatever the sport is?
Yeah. This is the way you can otherize people till they're not even human anymore, right? That's absolutely disgusting on Stephen A. Smith's part. D. Will, I get what you're trying to say, but I want to correct this. Can you put D. Will's coming up, because I hear a lot of people say this. Let me do a little bit of off the script, just teaching, if y'all don't mind, just for real quick. D. Will said, no, Black Americans are 13% of the population. Numbers tell us what we need. I'll expand if you want. Actually, Black people are way more than 13% of the population. Let me explain what happens in this country. We have a lot of Afro Latinos who don't consider themselves Black. So when they're filling out paperwork, they don't classify themselves as black. There's been studies that show that nearly 33% of the people that are from the Latinx community are Afro Latinos, and a majority of them don't qualify themselves as black. So if you consider that immigrants that are coming into this country from Latin American countries, you have those that look like Europeans, those that look like I guess that would be the indigenous population. Then you have those that are African Latino, and 33% of them are African Latino that don't call themselves Afro-Latino. I only say that because it's important, because you'll hear people say the fastest growing minority community in this country is the Latinx community. That's not a race. We gotta wrap our head around the difference between ethnicity and race. Black people are still the largest minority population. This is not a race to be the minorities, but I'm saying it's important that we talk about this in a way that makes better sense, because a lot of the times this is never part of the conversation. If you take the 13% of us that are ADOS, American descendants of slavery, then you couple that with Afro-Latino population, then you'll see that we are still growing at a rapid rate, one that is vastly undercounted. And when the cops see them, they see us. So I just wanted to throw that out there. This number is never considered and when we're talking about what it means to be black in these United States of America. So I just wanted to say that it has nothing to do with what we were talking about. But I saw it in the chat and I wanted to address it, because a lot of the times when we're counting black bodies, we're not counting all of them, because on census paperwork, these people don't consider. Even Big Papi from the Dominican Republic used to say that he was not black, he's Dominican, and those two things are not those two things are, you can't, I mean, they're not the same. It's like saying I'm not a fruit, I'm an apple. So I'm not a fruit, I'm an apple. It's just something I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, well, you know, I suppose we can ask the cops if he ever gets stopped. We can ask the cops if he's black or not. I'm sure they'll be able to help us clear that up real quick.
They don't. Yeah, I was going to talk about God and Donald Trump rioters, man. Capitol 6. I call it Capitol 6. On January 6th, the Capitol riot, we had one of the defendants, the one who threatened to kill the FNB, talking about Nancy Pelosi, threatening to hang her. She was heard while she was in the rotunda saying that, looking for Nancy Pelosi so she can effing hang the bee, right? Has said that she does not need a lawyer because she's divinely immune to the court's law. First of all, this shows a lack of understanding of the Bible, because the Bible says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar. There's God law and there's man law. God law has very little weight in the court system, and she's about to find that out real fucking quick. I'm super excited about her thinking she doesn't need a lawyer. One of the greatest statements that Abraham Lincoln said that is not a part of any of his great speeches was, a fool has himself as a client, talking about law. So we're going to watch this fool get sentenced, and I'm super excited about it. And that does not go against my thought about prisons and how much I hate them. I just think these people are obligated to be held accountable, because unless these federal judges are extremely strict on these people, what happened on January 6th is going to happen again. We already see the former president, Donald Trump, trying to rewrite history. He was at a speech this past weekend talking about this protest. First of all, he lied about the size. He said it was 1 million people there. This guy in sizes. He said 1 million people were there, and they were loving people. It was a rally. They were patriots, and that kind of talk is going to lead to it happening again, because we know the Republican Party is not going to go against what Donald Trump said. And it's just going to embolden. It's going to embolden these people to try it again. Right now, you had someone at a Texas State House running for Senate, or running for some office, I can't remember which office, saying that, it was the Senate, saying that, all of the protesters or the rioters from January 6th should be released, and none of them should be charged because what they did was patriotic. This is already the whitewashing, the rewriting of what happened on January 6th. These people, the funny part of it, the irony of it is, these are the people who supposedly are upset that Colin Kaepernick took a knee. These are the people who love police officers. These are the people who came up with Blue Lives Matter, and they kill cops. They kill cops because cops were standing in the way of white supremacy doing what it wanted to do. On January 6th, cops died. People should not forget that. Police officers were killed by the people that say Blue Lives Matter, the people who say they support cops. These are the people walking around with the blue flags, the people with the tags that have the blue stripes on them, killed police officers because they were standing in the way of white supremacy. I'm telling you, this sickness is real, and it's not cured because Donald Trump is no longer in office. And if we're not holding these people accountable, it will happen again. I promise you.
Yeah, that's what the most terrifying part about all this is that, you know, we're now, you know, and we can clearly see from the actions of just even storming the Capitol that they're I don't want to say beyond redemption, but they're pretty close to it, if not over that line. But we see their mindset in terms of they truly do believe, hey, this country is ours, and we're going to take it back from the people who've quote unquote stolen it from us, right? Because their entitlement is on full display, that they can think that, oh, like we can just storm the Capitol and it's perfectly fine. You hear them in this you know, with this lady. She's saying she has a divine immunity from God is what she's saying. I just want everybody to soak that in real quick, that she believes that God said, hey, you know, so, but, you know, this level of entitlement, it's not unusual. You know, we're used to seeing this level of entitlement, and it reminded me of another moment, of where I saw the entitlement on display. So I want to play this clip just for everybody who may have forgotten this is out there, because I will literally never get tired of seeing this clip right here.
Ma'am, what happened to you?
I got maced.
You got maced.
Left place.
And what happened? You were trying to go inside the
Yeah,
Capitol?
I made it like a foot inside, and they pushed me out, and they maced me.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Elizabeth. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And why did you want to go in?
We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
Thank you.
I will literally never get tired of seeing that. That is one of my favorite clips.
Yo, I
all
need
time.
that every morning. Matter of fact, from now on, we will play our theme song, and we will play that clip every morning. Yo, let me just talk about. Wait. First of all, Tunde, I'd never seen that clip before in my life.
Oh my!
You just made my day. Listen, she said, "Stuffing the Capitol is a revolution." It's a fucking revolution. Why are you on news crying about being maced?
The exasperation. The exasperation in her voice was everything to me. They maced me. It's a revolution.
They push me out. They push you out. Your revolution.
like the level in somebody Chuck Diesel, shout out to Chuck D. He said the caucasity, right? Absolutely, the caucasity. Look, because it's only for the people who saying like white privilege doesn't exist, man. Look, I present Exhibit A. Exhibit A, man. Because how are you going to storm the Capitol of the United States of America and then be like dismayed that like you got maced, at least got maced? Like that's stunning to me. Like even if
you got to run that back. Wait, run that back one more time, please. They went foot in and they pushed me out, and then they maced me.
Hey, look, it only gets better with each time you feel it. Let's go.
Ma'am, what happened to you?
I got maced.
You got maced.
Left place.
And what happened? You were trying to go inside the
Yeah,
Capitol?
I made it like a foot inside, and they pushed me out, and they maced me.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Elizabeth. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And why did you want to go in?
We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
Thank you.
Yo, wait, did you see the guy that was hugging her? The guy that's hugging her is just like, I'm here for moral support. I did not storm the Capitol because clearly he didn't get maced. He didn't go in. She got mad. He asked that stupid question like, "We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution." But they maced me. They're not fighting fair in this revolution. Yo, Show King asked a good question earlier. He's like, did the cops know that these are the people that supposedly support them? No, the cops don't know. You want to know why they don't know? Because they were there. This is a large portion of these people were prior service and police officers, man. So these are people killing their own. Dog eat dog world, straight up. Veterans, a lot overrepresented in that were veterans and police officers. So take that to bear with you. The police officers died at the hands of mobs. They showed this. Did you see the footage that was released by the Justice Department yesterday? Or
No,
maybe it was the day before yesterday.
No,
it is absolutely disturbing. You see, these riders, one of the people that came with them passed out, drug overdose. And with cops didn't know at that time that the person was passed out, and they were trying to get him. And you see these people trying to like strip the police gear off this officer, stumping the chest, kicking him, beating him with weapons. It's crazy. The body cam footage is freaking crazy. He's getting beat right there. You can see it on his body camera and body camera footage, and people are just literally defending this shit and calling it patriotic. It shows you that patriotism has nothing to do with that flag or this country, because these people are standing beside people with Confederate flags, which is an oxymoron. You're taking a Confederate flag in the United States Capitol. That's a war against the United States to maintain slavery and split this country in half.
Well, but that's like the thing that's always sort of disturbed me is that word patriotic has always been or has been synonymous with this type of ideology, with this type of thinking, when it shouldn't. Patriotism should mean that that you may still love your country even if you're extremely critical of it, even if you think there's things in it that clearly need to be corrected, right? It shouldn't just mean this blind faith without any sort of, when you talk to these same people about like this idea of American exceptionalism, they'll be like, oh, we're the smartest, we're the best. And it's like, well, no, you go down each metric. Where are we the best at? What is the thing that we're the best at? We're the best at nothing, that's what patriotism means to them, is just to blindly just America, period, and it's exhausting, man. Like it's when you I know we just laughed, and I will never not laugh at that video, but in that was just so much of this you see that she truly does believe, look, no, I can storm the Capitol of the United States of America and nothing should happen to me. I shouldn't get
They
maced.
can't mace me. Why can they mace me? It's a revolution.
The fact that
can't mace me during the revolution.
The fact that she only got maced, she needs to be thinking, and according to this lady who's in court, she needs to be thinking, I guess her, because apparently she's got divine immunity, but she needs to be thinking, God, like, look, I didn't get shot, because there was another woman who tried to do the same exact thing. She got shot. She died, but that thought never even crossed her mind. The thought is, I got maced. And it's just, man, that's the level of that is, I will never know that in my life, what it means to have that amount of privilege in my life. I will never, and I don't want to. I don't want to be blindly just running around talking about, I got maced because of the revolution.
Was this a revolution, man? Yeah. All right, brother. We are at that time where we say goodbye. Again, on behalf of Tunde, Dwayne, Marcus, and myself, we want to thank y'all for joining us. Don't forget, we will re-air this episode at 12 o'clock today. It's been wonderful. Tunde always runs a professional show. He's always ready. Thank you so much, brother. Thank y'all so much. We love y'all. Thank you for the lively chats. Again, we are Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. I'm Mondale Robinson. You can find me anywhere at Mondale Robinson, and I work for Black Male Voter Project. Check us out. Peace, y'all. Thank y'all. See y'all Thursday. Same bat channel, same bat time. You dig?
Let's go.
Roll that shit.
Trap squad, 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 trap critical. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight, unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Yeah.
Trap squad, trap squad, trap
Hey,
squad,
let me hear ya.
trap squad, trap squad,
Throw those squirrels up if you with it.
trap squad, trap squad,
Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you.
trap squad, trap squad, trap squad,
Clickbaity thirst trap.
trap squad, trap squad, trap
Hey,
squad,
let me hear ya.
trap squad, trap squad,
Throw those squirrels up if you with it.